As you know or may not know, I'm installing a new motor in my boat, a Beta 60. Now the Beta 60s are direct injection but mechanical fuel pumps, so there's no electronics per se on the motor. So in order to get that information, oil pressure, tachometer, temperature and whatnot, across to the NEMA network, you need some type of black box to do that. This here is one of those black boxes I purchased from AliExpress. If I remember right, it was about 150 bucks, give or take, something like that. It has the ability to track information on two separate motors. As you can see, it'll do RPM, trim tab, oil pressure, coolant temperature, rudder angle, a couple fuel tank informations, which I don't need because I have the Simarine system, and voltage. And it'll take that analog information from the motor, convert it into NEMA strings, and then patch it across to your NEMA network. So this is one of the upgrades that I'm going to do. Now for me, step one in this process was to call Beta Maureen, order 2 additional pieces from them. The first one is this Y connector that you see here that splits the existing harness into 2 different feeds and allows me to then hook up a second cable here that I had them make up with all the bare wires on the end. This will then allow me to plug that into the black box system, which you see here. After checking on the wiring diagram, finding the appropriate colored wires that I would need, I then cut the ends off in preparation to wire them up to the black box, which you see here, and to do that I used ferrules. Just a quick repower update here. Here you see the existing motor mounts on the stringers. They had to be taken out, which you see here. They're going to be sandblasted and reconfigured for the new Beta 60. As of today, that's the only thing we have holding us back from setting the new motor inside. Now just a quick Simarine update. I did order the NEMA 2000 gateway and the inclinometer, which gives me pitch and roll information on there. As you see, I have both of them installed. I'll give you another update once I've reinstalled the main batteries back and get the system hooked up. Here you see the new Beta C panel as it comes from the factory with all the gauges and lights and keys and everything. I'm going to remove those and put them into the existing binnacle where the old gauges were. So the first thing is to undo the wiring harness, which you see here, remove the gauges, and then remove the key and buzzer signal, which you see here. After removing the old gauges and the old wiring harness, the next step was to put in the new wiring harness from the C panel. Here you see it installed in the binnacle with blue tape marking each one of the plugs where they go back to their preferred gauge. Here are the new gauges mounted in the existing holes in the binnacle. Now moving on to the indicator lights, I realized that the existing new wiring harness from Beta Maureen, the lines were not long enough to where I was going to mount the lights at. So I had to do a wiring harness extension. Here you see the wiring harness. I tried to keep the colors as close to matching the Beta Maureen colors as possible. And here it is all tidied up, ready to install. Here you see the gauges installed along with the key switch. I used one of the existing holes since there wasn't enough gauges to fill them all, and I moved the key switch down to where you see it now. It did require me putting a little covering plate on there, but don't think it looks too bad. Also notice the start-stop switch is installed, and here we have the mark out for the indicator lights as shown. Next step was simply to cut that opening out. Here you see the wiring harness pulled through the opening and mounted on the back side of the indicator light panels. I purposely left the extension a little bit on the long side, so if you have to pull that indicator light panel off, change any bulbs or replace any parts, it's easier to do. Lastly, here we go. This is the finished product. I am thinking about trimming the lower left-hand corner of that indicator light panel, since the binnacle turns in at a little bit of angle. I'll let you know how that works out in a following update. All in all, I don't think it turned out too bad. Well, as usual, that's a wrap for this week's vlog. Just to give you kind of a heads up here, obviously the next big thing we have to do is to get the new motor installed. Walden's Marina's mechanic doesn't actually work at the marina full time. He does these jobs as sort of a side hustle, so we're at his mercy on his schedule. So right now we've got everything done that we need to have done to get the motor moved into the engine room. The motor mounts have been rebuilt, all my work's done, the black box is in, the wiring harness is down, all of that. So as soon as we get that in, and he can come in and we can get it moved in, we can get that motor mounted. Now hopefully our goal right now, provided nothing comes up with his other job, is we're going to try and get it done this week. So keep tuning back in. Remember to hit that subscription button. Let's grow this channel. Give us a like and watch us on Facebook. Thanks a lot.